and welcome to my tutorial. In this particular tutorial, I'm gonna show you how to achieve a fantasy look to your portraits. So remember that you don't have to follow exactly my way of doing it. You can always add your knowledge to it. This is my way of doing it using Photoshop, stock images, blending options, and many more. Just follow this tutorial. Okay, I'm starting out with this beautiful stock image, and since it's a fantasy artwork, I'm just gonna go ahead and edit anything I think it looks off, and I'm gonna start with the eyes because this is the way face is constructed. We all have a bigger eye and the smaller eye, and one of the eye is higher and the other is lower. And in this case, this is the big one and this is the small one. And I actually like this one, so I'm just gonna duplicate this. I'm gonna make a selection, right click, layer via copy, edit, transform and flip horizontal like this. I'm gonna zoom out and see exactly where it should fall. I'm just gonna decrease the opacity to see where the other eye is, so I have a guidance here. It would be something like this. Let's zoom out and see. Okay. Now I'm gonna go ahead and erase with a soft brush around it. Make sure everything blends. Don't worry if you have something like this because it's gonna be fixed. Okay. But because the original eye behind is a little higher, I'm just gonna drag this down to make it look even, like this. And here you go. Now, because I don't want to look like it's flipped, I'm just gonna put this reflection here and just make sure I get rid of this one. I think we can actually put the reflection here because that's how the light falls. So yeah, let's get rid of this one too. I'm using the healing brush tool to do this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and clone stamp this one from here to here. Oh, here. Which, as I said, makes it look more natural and it doesn't look like the eye is taken from here and flipped. Okay, now if you look carefully, you're gonna see that this side of the face has more hair on than this one. And I kind of like this side because you can see her facial structures. So I'm just gonna go ahead and actually flip that. Let's rename this layer eye. Okay. Duplicate the background, merge it on it, so you have the image as a whole. And now basically what are we going to do is this. We're gonna go ahead and make a selection here like this, right click, copy, and just flip it. It's not gonna stay like this, don't worry. The first thing we are going to do is erase this side from here where it supposedly should blend. And now, as we did with the eye, I'm gonna decrease the opacity to have a little guidance from behind of the image to see exactly what it should fall. So I'm just gonna go ahead like this. You see where her cheek is blending perfectly. Okay, now we are going to erase the eye. Increase the opacity here. And just erase around it. Okay. Like this. Zoom in here. As you can see, I have the side here because in the original image the hair was touching the eyelashes, and on this side it doesn't. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to duplicate the background again. I'm gonna merge this down, and I'm just gonna go ahead and copy these and just flip it again. Let's see. Like this, and just make sure I erase only the margins softly. Match the colors probably. Like this. Don't worry about this here because it's gonna get fixed soon. Merge this down on the layer underneath. Okay, so now you have this. The hair is flipped, the eye is flipped, and the image looks, you know, more even. Okay, now before anything, I'm going to take care of this side because it's bugging me and I don't like it. I'm using the healing brush tool, and I'm just making selections on the skin, you know, to put everything back here. Okay, and it looks way much better. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, I don't like this highlight here on the lips, so of course, and I actually like this side, so this is going to be a little tricky but not hard to do. I'm gonna go ahead and select this side again, layer via copy, and just flip it like this. We're gonna bring it here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and erase the margins again, so it looks like this, and merge it down. And now I'm going to select this side here and flip it like this. Maybe higher, like this. Here we go. And again, just erase the margins. And again, merge it. Oh, not the whole image. Okay. So basically what we did, we took this side and put it here, and we took this side and put it here, and it made the lips look, you know, more even. And I think I'm going to do the same thing with the nose. And I'm going to flip this side because it still has this shadow preserved here, so it's going to help us when we're going to build the face. So I'm just gonna go ahead and flip this side again, layer via copy and flip it, and I'm just going to put it here, erase the interior and the margins. Okay, I think like this it's perfect. And as you can see, it already adds some depth to the image because it has the shadows preserved. This side was too light, and this side has, you know, this beautiful shape of the nose preserved. So basically we just flipped the image to have that on the other side. Okay, before I go ahead and do any more changes on the model, I'm just gonna get rid of the background, and I'm going to select it using the quick selection tool, like this and like this, and I'm just gonna go and make sure I don't have anything going into the model. I'm just gonna deselect everything that alters. Don't worry about this, you know, this hair flying here, because we're gonna blend it differently, so we don't need that. Okay, and here and here. Okay, and now I'm going to use the magic eraser tool and just erase it. I'm gonna hide the layers underneath so you can see what I'm doing, because having those basically preserve the background, and I'm just gonna erase it like this. What I'm going to do next, because this is too small, I'm going to canvas size and make sure this relative is clicked here, and let's make it we can actually make it even wider because you have this arm preserved here, so we can flip it. As you can see, this goes out of the image, so we would need to build this back, but having this, it's gonna make it easier. So let's make it wider and higher, like this. Okay, just come and crop it here, and like this. Okay, let's blend this here too. Let's take this from here, like this, layer via copy, flip it. Actually, we only need to cover we don't need to cover the skin as much as we need to cover the fabric, so I'm gonna erase the skin like this. And if I erase the skin, it looks like I have to bring this in like this, and I'm gonna also use this here to make it blend. Okay, here we go. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add a background behind her. So I'm just gonna drag this over here, Control T. Make sure you hold the Shift key, because if you do, basically it freezes your image. you know, if you don't hold it and you try to drag it here, you see your image goes all the way and it might get distorted. But if you hold the shift key, when you drag it here, it comes equally like this, so the image doesn't get distorted. Okay, let's make this even bigger because I don't want to see. I think this is good. Maybe even bigger. Let's see. Okay, something like this. It's perfect. Now go to filter, blur, and blur it. I don't care too much about the background, I just want people to have an idea of what's behind her, because the main focus in this particular artwork will be the model. So I don't care too much about the background. And now let's add some depth. Make a selection like this, right click, feather, 350, it's good. Okay, select inverse, go to adjustments, and just darken the sides like this. You can make a new selection. Let's make it like this. Make like an aura behind her. Repeat the same steps and just darken this like this. And let's change the color because I feel it's a little muted. Let's see if I increase the vibrance and maybe let's go to selective color and alter it. Yeah, make it more blue and more dark, something like this. And let's mute them a little like this. Okay, as I stated before, our main focus in this image will be the model, so I'm just gonna go ahead and we'll crop this like this. Good. Okay, we're gonna leave the background for now and we will come back to it later. We have to take care of some details now. For example, because I flipped the image, the hair here looks off. This goes here and this comes like this, so we have to fix that. What are we going to do is make a selection here in this hair that flows beautifully, layer via copy, and just flip it over here. I'm gonna erase this part because I don't feel it blends. Okay. And merge it down for now. As you can see, it looks way better. But I just feel this is too dark. So let's go ahead. This is too light, and so let's go ahead and darken it. Make a selection here and make selection here. Make sure you feather around 18 and just darken this down like this. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up because I don't like this hair flying all over. I'm using the spot healing brush tool and I'm just going over this, especially this one here because it catches light and it looks okay. Let's remove this here too. Yeah, removing hair is a very annoying job, but I will do it because I don't like it. So Okay, now that we're done removing the fly hair from her arms, I'm going to do actually the same thing here, because there's a couple of hair stands that, you know, just they don't look okay, so I'm just going to remove them. I'm using the same thing. I'm using the spot healing brush tool, and I'm just removing whatever I feel that, you know, it doesn't look okay. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to even out these spaces here, so I'm just gonna use clone stamp to do that. And I'm just gonna go ahead and clone stamp whatever looks empty, like this. Okay. Let's fix it here too. I'm going to do the same thing with the highlights here because they look off and I just want to make them look a little more even. But this time I'm going to select this from here, layer via copy, and just drag it over here, and, you know, as usually erase the margins. So it looks like this. Basically I'm filling up this empty spaces to make it look more even. So actually I'm going to take this side and flip it like this, and maybe even turn it a little because it seemed off. Make sure it kind of blends here. I'm going to lighten up this area. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make her shoulders smaller because I feel they take away from her face. So I'll just open up Liquify. Make this smaller here. To something like this. Don't worry if it feels like it's too small because overall we have a fantasy looking image, so it's okay not to look 100% real. Okay, let's move on to the hair. As you can see, the light is coming from behind. Now we're gonna enhance that light as well. So we have to blend the hair as well. So make a selection around here and around here. Right click feather to something around, I think 100. Let's see. Yeah, that's good. Go to image, adjustments, curves, and just drag this up. Oh, let me do it again. to something like this. Don't worry, because we were gonna go ahead and draw some highlights as well, but this is like, you know, a preparation for what we will have. I'm just gonna redo it again because I just feel it's still too dark on the margins, and I'm gonna decrease this even more to something like this. And maybe, do you see this dark line here? It's too dark, so I'm just gonna go ahead and delete it. And I think I'll do the same with anything that seems too dark. I'm not gonna go light here because it's the top part of the head, which not even naturally wouldn't look really highlighted. This is a very dark point, so the only thing we're going to do here is add some highlights that will come from behind. But this part and this part naturally go very light, so this is what we did, and I think this looks good. Okay, my next step will be building some sort of color for this lady, since my main inspiration was the stepmother from the Snow White movie that was released last year. And yeah, that's kind of the look I want to achieve with this dark fantasy artwork. Not 100%, you know, she's just like this small inspiration point. Anyway, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this set of wings and drag it over here. So I'm gonna hit Ctrl T on my keyboard, and I'm gonna make this bigger and arrange it to something like this. And I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate that and put it higher. But make sure you drag this underneath. Let's name this layers. Let's name this color part 1 and color part 2. Okay. And now merge these layers and duplicate it, transform, and flip it for this side as well. And it kind of starts to look interesting. So I'm just gonna go ahead and duplicate this first one again. And no, actually, I'm gonna drag a new one because it's smaller, and I'll just put it above all here. And no, just drag it underneath because it looks way better. I'm gonna darken it like this. I'm gonna duplicate it again, and I'll go and let's see if I put it here, does it look good? No, I'm not gonna put it here too. I'm just gonna duplicate this and put it on the other side too. I mean here. Okay, this is it for now. We need to edit this color thing because it's not bright. Actually, it has the lights where the shadows should fall, and it's darkened where the lights should be, so we have to change that. So for now, I turned off my model layer so I can see exactly what I'm working on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge this whole color so I can work on it as a whole. It's gonna be like this. So I'm just gonna go ahead and select here, right click feather and make it 100. Go to image adjustments, brightness and contrast, and just darken this because it's darkened by the model anyway. And now select this side here and this side here, right click 100 again and go to curves this time, make it lighter, and now go to brightness and contrast and just make this lighter. And if needed, you can go to levels and make this like this because the light falls here. So this is how it looks for now. Also, another thing I'm going to do, because I don't like how this pattern here is repeating, I'm just gonna actually remove that, and I'm going to use the clone stamp to do it. Okay. For now it looks better, but we can darken this side here and this side here more because the light on it doesn't justify. So let's darken that up. Okay, this is what we have. For now, we're going to add highlights on it later on, but for now, you know, this is what we have to move on. And since we have this color now, this side needs to be darker on the model too, so let's just go ahead and do that. I'm gonna get rid of these highlights here soon, so don't worry. And this side here as well, let's make it darker. Okay, as I said, I want to get rid of this really ugly highlight. So for this, I'm selecting a brush, a soft brush. Put the opacity to something like, I don't know, 50. Pen pressure on. Go to brush. Make sure you have transfer clicked. No shape dynamics, because as you can see, it makes this really pointy at the edge, and I don't want that. Instead, I want the brush to flow naturally like this and not like this. So only transfer, and I'll just pick the color from her skin and I'm gonna paint over the highlights. Always adjust the brush to the size you need to paint on. Let's go to the side now. Okay. And I think I'm going to do the same with her clothing, so I'm gonna select colors from it and just darken it up. Okay, let's go here. So this would work for now, but now that you have this here, we have to darken the hair as well here. So let's make a selection. And darken this up, and now let's make a selection here and darken this as well. Okay, before I go ahead with any other details, actually I'm gonna make the color smaller. I feel it's too big and something's bothering me about it, so I'll just make it like this. Yeah, maybe stretch it like this. Okay, this is it for now. Probably it will change shape later, I don't know. So since we are at the color, let's go ahead and do some highlights on it. Select the brush again, select a part, a light part from this background, go and make it lighter, create a new layer, and let's start adding some highlights to it. Like this. Make sure you take your time with this step because it requires attention to details and you don't want, you know, to rush it. You can even add some highlights inside here, but don't exaggerate because we don't want to fake light too much. Okay, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to edit the background even more, and I'm gonna darken up this area and lighten up this one even more. Do something like this, and I'm gonna go ahead and start drawing some of the highlights in her hair. And I'm gonna start from here, and first I'm gonna draw some black hair using a hard brush. Make sure you have the pen pressure on, and now I need the shape dynamics on and also transfer, so make sure you click them. And I'm gonna select this black color, and let's increase the opacity a little, but don't make it too high. Okay. I'm just selecting the color from her hair to draw this. And now I'm selecting this from background, and I'm gonna go ahead and even lighten this up more, and I'll go ahead and draw a few highlights. Make sure you stop somewhere here because there's no more light coming because the color is blocking it, so that's where you have to stop. So this is what you have for now. I'm gonna go ahead and do this on the other side as well. The next thing I'm going to do is I will be darken up these shadows, these highlights here, because they look it looks too light for me. So for this I'm going to select a soft brush. I have the opacity to around 50. Transfer, make sure it's clicked. Pick this dark color from the hair and go over the highlights. And now set your blending mode to soft light. Okay, I will start I will start adding some details to the face. You know, I will start making her look like a queen. So for that, actually I'm going to paint her lips black. So for this, create a new layer, go to your brush and pick this hard round brush. Make sure you have the pen pressure on, shape dynamics on, and transfer box both clicked. The opacity is okay for now. And what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to trace the line of her lips. Now that you have the outline of the lips, you can fill them in. And I'm going to put the opacity to 100 actually to do this. And now let's play with the blending mode. Let's see which one exactly fits the best. I think I'll go with this one, and I'm going to erase this here, and you'll see why. Okay, now select the lips, right click feather and put it around 2. Now go to your original model background, right click layer via copy and desaturate. And now let's see which one actually looks the best. I'll stick with soft light for now, and let's try playing with this one here. We will be adding back some of the highlights, so don't worry. And as you can see, this is really soft, so we are going to use a hard brush to redo this margins here and make them look more sharp. Another thing that I'm going to do, okay, let's name this lips copy and lips color. Okay. Select the lips copy layer, go to image adjustments, color balance, and drag it a little to blue, because all our blacks, as you can see, are a little bluish. Go back again And the highlights, make the highlights bluish too, and you can desaturate a little. Okay, so for now we have this. Okay, the next thing will be creating a different eyeshadow. I want to make her look more dramatic, so I'm going to choose a soft brush for now and set the opacity to, I don't know, somewhere between 50 and 60, and go to transfer, but don't have shape dynamics clicked, only transfer for now. Make this layer, this brush bigger, create a new layer. You have the dark, the black already selected, so we are going to paint a different makeup. Okay, set the blending mode to saturation and you'll see why we did this. Let's name it eye makeup, and duplicate this layer, edit, transform, flip it so we can put it on this eye. And for an easier guide, just put back this so we can see where exactly it fits. I think this is it. You'll see the reason why I chose to put it on saturation. Okay, merge them, and now you can go around it and still paint something. Okay, create a new layer above it and go over here and over here and set it to soft light. And now just go over the parts of your previous layer to darken them. Don't worry about this and this because we are going to erase it. Okay. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is create a new layer and get this makeup down here to her nose like this. Set the layer mode to soft light. Now let's set it to saturation first, and you know, just redo the exact previous step and create now a new layer, set it to soft light, and go again with the darks here. until we have something like this. You can go straightly around this line to create some depth. And this actually, as you can see, why I used saturation is because you also have the highlights already built. You don't have to rebuild them yourself. You have shadows and you have highlights already built in the makeup. Okay, let's go on with the makeup even more. And for this, make a new layer. Select a hard round brush and make it something like this, 25 pixels. I think this is good. Or even let's make it a little bigger. Let's make it to 30. And start by you don't need the pen pressure on nor anything here, because I want this dot to be like this, you know, like really perfect. So we're gonna start by putting a dot here, move lower and make this dot smaller with 5 pixels. Move lower and make it even smaller. Again, decrease it with 5 pixels every time you go lower. And again, as you can see, from 10 pixels it only decreases with 1 pixel. So make this 9, 10, 50, 20, 25, 30. Okay. Now set this layer opacity to saturation as the previous layers. Name it, let's name them eye jewels. I don't know why, but let's name them eye jewels. Duplicate this, but set the opacity to soft light now, and it looks like this. Name these eye jewels shadows. If you duplicate this even more, it's gonna make them even darker, but we don't want them this dark because we want them to resemble this color. But I don't like the fact, let's see if I zoom out. This is good. This is perfect. And now click both of these layers, right click and duplicate layers. Edit, transform, flip horizontal, and just put both of these layers here. Zoom out so you put them exactly where the others are. We have to go higher and yeah, it's something like this, maybe even a little lower, like this. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this makeup come here lower, like this. So for this, keep this round hard brush. Make sure you have the pen pressure on. Go to shape dynamics and transfer now, and just draw this so it comes down. Make sure you do the same thing here. Okay, and you can put it on, let's see, if we put it on soft light, yeah, it looks better. You can just go ahead and make this thicker. It looks something, maybe it's too long. Let's make it, it's deleted somewhere here. Okay, now it looks good. And now let's enhance this makeup using a soft brush for now. Make sure you have pen pressure on and only transfer clicked. So let's enhance this makeup to work on the same layer because it's on soft light, and we want to make it look kind of soft like this. As you can see, it makes the makeup look deeper. Okay, let's name this layer so we don't lose it. Makeup. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring back these eyes because they are kind of lost in this whole black thing, so we want to enhance them. So for this, create a new layer. Stay with the soft brush tool you have. Choose a white color. You can leave the opacity here to 100. Make sure you have transfer clicked and draw white over here and white over here. And now go to overlay. And because they look too poppy for me, I'm just gonna decrease these until it looks like this. And I'm gonna run this on the white because I just feel it's too dark, until I have something like this, and now decrease it even more. So we have this for now. Okay, make a duplicate layer of the color, hit Ctrl T and make it bigger like this and drag it down. Make sure you drag it underneath the layer to something like this, and now let's arrange it to something like this. Now go to edit, transform, warp, and make sure you bring this up like this, but make sure you go straight. Make sure you have this line straight. They don't go this, they don't go this. We need to have them straight. Click OK, and now drag this down here. Select this space above, right click feather, make it to something like 100, and now go to image adjustments, brightness and contrast, and just make this darker. As you can see, we added a little more depth to this whole color thing, because without it, it looks kind of, empty. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this because it bothers me. So I'll just go ahead, create a new layer, select a soft round brush, set the opacity to something like between 50 and 60, pen pressure on, and just transfer here clicked, and start using colors from her original skin to paint this over and get rid of the necklace. As you can see, I even painted back some hair here, to make it blend more. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as some kind of jewelry for the hair. So I'm just gonna put this here, duplicate this, and flip it for the other side like this. But it's gold and I don't like the fact that it's gold, so I'm just gonna go ahead to image adjustments, to saturate, and do the same thing with the first one. And now make sure they are both the same, have the same placement. And now select both of them, Ctrl T, and make them smaller to something probably like this. Good. And now we can darken this two up, but only in this area. So make selections like this, right click, feather, make it 50, brightness and contrast, and darken the left one, and now darken the right one like this. And to add even more depth, they would probably form some kind of shadow. But first, let's name this left jaw and right jaw. Okay, select the left jaw, go to edit, transform, perspective, and make this smaller, you know, like it follows the head. And now do the same thing with this one here, and it looks way better. And now select the two of them, duplicate both layers. You can merge this down. Make sure you drag them underneath both of the layers. And I'm just gonna get them out so you can see them. Go to image, adjustments, brightness and contrast, and just darken them. And to make sure we darken completely, just go to levels and make them as black as possible until they look like this. And you can move them around. Basically, we created the shadow now. So the shadows would fall something like this. Go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, have it something like this. And now make sure you erase the shadow from here, because here it doesn't create any shadow on anything, so we want to get rid of that. And also make sure you decrease the opacity a little, it doesn't look so harsh. So now you have something like this, and as you can see here, it looks blended very well. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring some depth to the makeup. So for this, I'm going to create a new layer. Select the white color, use a soft round brush tool. The opacity, keep it between 50 and 60. Pen pressure on, and only transfer box clicked. And now I'm going to basically draw some highlights. One here, we can put some here. And now set this blending mode to soft light. You can go over it as much as you'd like. I think this is enough for this particular image, like this. Okay, we are going to do the same thing next with the shadows. Create a new layer, choose the black color, keep the same brush, and now just go over the areas you would like to have darkened, like this one here. The black of the eye, which was too light. We can go with some dark here and drag it down. Make the brush bigger and come with a straight line here and with a straight line here. And also put this here underneath the lips. You can put this here too. And now go to the blending mode and set it to soft light. and this is what you have for now. Make sure you decrease these a little, and also if needed, just erase the cheek black. Okay, now let's get back to our model. I think it's safe to say that this side here can go darker. Right click feather 300 after you made a selection. Image adjustments, brightness and contrast, and just make this darker like this. Also, I think here and even here, although this side it looks darker. Same selection, same feather. Just darken this up more. We can go with some dark even here. Not too much though. And this time, no. I'm gonna use brightness and contrast to have it like this. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the color stand out. So for that, I'm making a new layer above the background, and I'm making a selection here and also here. Right click feather 200, select this really light color, use the paint bucket tool and fill this in like this. And now I'm going to decrease the opacity of this layer until it looks really soft, but it creates this beautiful highlight behind it and makes this feather stand out. I don't want it to be, you know, too harsh, so I'm just going to decrease it to 70%. This is my option. You can keep it as light as you want, of course. Okay, now I want to work on this image as a whole. So for this, I'm going to merge everything on a layer. So for this, I'm creating a new layer and hit Ctrl Alt Shift E, and basically I made this layer with everything I have, but I still have the, you know, the old layers underneath, so if something goes wrong or I don't like it, I can always go back to them and work on them. But for now, you have this image flattened like this. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer, use the paint bucket tool and fill it with black like this. Put it on color, but decrease it to something like this to make it, you know, to make it look more pale and desaturated, especially the skin. I just felt it was too bright, and merge it down. Now the next step will be adding some color to it. So for this, I'm going to image adjustment, photo filter, and use this cooling filter here, the third one, and have the density to something like 20. Okay, this looks really good. And I'll make a round selection here, right click, feather 200, and just use the curves to bring this side, this selection up, and select inverse and use the curves to make this a little darker. So we have something looking like this. I don't like this empty space here, so I'm just going to crop it like this and go to image, selective color, and now I'll just play around with the colors until I have something that I like. I will try to bring some color back to her skin, but not too much because I don't want, you know, the skin to look different. So this is why you have the selective color. You can work on each color. So in the skin you have reds, yellows, and magentas here. Sometimes you have green, or even blue. We have blue here. This is actually cyan. So let's work with the reds for now and see exactly what it fits. As you can see, as I change the red, the whole face changes. I think I'll stick with this. If I zoom out and see, maybe it's too dark. Let's go back again. This is up to your personal choice to what you like and what you don't like. As you can see, you can make it more poppy or you can make it more porcelain skin. I think I'll go with the second version like this. And now I will also work on the blues. We have this one here. And it makes it look more poppy. So what I don't like, to be honest, is the eyes. So I think I'll make them blue to stand out. So for this I'm gonna select a blue from here. Maybe this one. Go back to the eyes. Okay. Color over it like this, and here too. And now let's see which ones look the best. I think soft light might do the trick if we paint this properly. But because I want to add even more depth, I'm gonna go ahead and merge this down and redo the light and shadow thing. Use a soft round brush tool and put some strong lights here. Put it on overlay like this, and also here. So for now we have this, which looks much more interesting and much more beautiful. And since we put lights for now, let's put some darks too and add some more depth. Let's use this to add some lights here too, some shiny lights. I'm working on the same layer as the eye highlights. Okay, and here. This added more depth to the makeup now. Okay, and now let's go back here, create a new layer, choose the black and go over the darker sides and put it on soft light. This will add more dimension to your eye. We'll make it blend more beautiful like this. And again, if you want, you can go ahead and darken anything that you want to darken more, because you're working on the soft light layer. Okay, most of the image is done. Basically, anything you want to add from here is your personal choice, and it's up to your personal taste to do it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to darken these dots here. I want them to stand out. So for this, I'm creating a new layer, choosing a soft round brush tool. Set the opacity really low so we can build it up. You know, I don't want to have it harsh. I want to build it up. Have the transfer clicked, set the layer to soft light, and just start adding some depth to these small dots here, because they are really pretty and I don't want them to be lost. I'm also going to add some blacks over this to make it darker. Use the same brush with the same settings. It's where I feel it should be more dark. I'm also going to fix this here because it looks off. I'm basically painting it back. What I'm fixing here is the margins of the skin that might look harsh because of the cropping. I'm basically painting an outline using colors from the skin. And now make sure you fix anything that was left behind previously. Okay, basically this is it. Anything else you want to add is your personal choice. You can still add, I don't know, maybe a necklace, maybe something around her. This is totally up to you. These were the basics showing you how to create a fantasy portrait image. This is my outcome. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.